All right, welcome back to another series of the Reclaim videos. Today we're going to be discussing the depth of market. These are each market is each one. So this is the S&P futures, Dow futures, the Nasdaq futures. Today we're going to be talking about the ES reversal trade. That reversal using this depth of market along with the reclaims is what resulted in me getting long at the 555 here on Wednesday, October 30th, and resulted in a meaningful long that gave me a nice 20-point pop. And all that wasn't just using only the depth of market, but levels in conjunction with the depth of market is what gave me the conviction to buy the reversal. So what we're seeing right now is a bunch of transactions coming through at each price, and we're getting a lot of information here. So we're going to dissect just 2 points of interest here for today. There's so much data to collect from the DEFA market, the DOM itself. Today we're going to focus on delta, right? The difference between the buying and selling at each tick value. That's the delta here. And also the pace of the DOM. Okay, the pace meaning the tempo, the movements of these DOM, right? The overall trend of the DOM as it's moving, and as you can see, we're trading at the lows. Price is naturally gravitating lower and lower and lower in tandem with the Nasdaq here. So there's a lot of information here today. So make sure you take a seat, take your time, focus, because we're going to be discussing the DOM. All right. So with the DOM, it's going to take hours of screen time to really identify and be able to extract all the value you can from this tool. It's an instrument, it's a tool, just like any indicator you have on a chart. The thing about this tool is that it gives you immediate feedback as to how buyers and sellers are reacting to a level of interest. So if you don't have a level of interest, a zone of interest that you like, you want to trade or watch, then it's kind of pointless. You need to be able to hone in to zones of interest first and foremost for a plan or predetermined level that you have an idea of what you would like to see, whether that's a demand level, supply level, resistance, support, whatever it is, you got to have a level of interest because otherwise, if you're watching every single tick at all single price values, you're just frying your brain trying to identify what's going on. As you can see here, we broke the 555. We immediately slid down on the ES 5 points. You can see that there's massive amount of effort to keep selling this. You see the delta spread, continuous net selling taking place. That could be a combination of market selling and stop losses getting triggered at the same time. And then if you couple that with the pace of this DOM, you can see that on every single little micro bounce here, little bounce, get a stall, no further upside, and then immediately get another set of selling that takes place and it aggressively hits the offer or the sells, come right back to where that first move up came from. So this video is going to take some time to really dissect and discern how do I understand what's happening here. And in order to keep things simple, first and foremost, watch the tape as this video progresses. Watch the delta, right? We saw that there was a flurry of net selling all the way through and through. Okay, that is your first indication that the sellers are in control and they're definitely hitting stops along the way. Second aspect of it, which is a little more tricky because it's nuanced to some degree because it does take hours of screen time to identify the pace of this tape to actually understand it for what it is without a non-biased objective. This is why price levels are very important because if the DOM is moving and it's hard to identify or discern who is in control, the price level in which we're trading is your best friend. So as you can see, we're continuously dropping as I'm talking here. Selling is still continuing. You see all the net delta is still sell, sell, sell. Although, if you notice, it's getting smaller and smaller. Now, what do I mean by smaller? If you're looking at all the delta, the size of the contracts that are being sold over the buys, they're now double digits. Okay, they were most aggressive when we were trading at the 50s. And that level is going to be very important because that is a reclaim level that I have listed on my DOM. You can see I have a note here. It says reclaim overnight. ON is for overnight. And as we're selling lower and lower, The delta is getting smaller, right? The delta in the tape is getting smaller, and you're starting to see blue, right? Now we're getting a shift in delta, right? Market buys are outweighing the market sells. That's what delta means. It is a difference between the two. And as we're going lower, you're starting to see a shift in who the participants are, as to what the participants are doing. So this video is going to be very helpful if you just rewatch it. Continue to rewatch it, rewatch it, rewatch it. Because you're seeing here now as the delta got smaller, as I mentioned, from double-digit cells, we're now seeing blue. And we're not just getting one tick value of blue. We're getting multiple blue deltas, meaning multiple buyers overtaking all the selling that's coming into the tape. And as that's happening, you start to couple that with the pace of the tape, the pace of the DOM, right? If you were to watch this from the beginning, you can see that every single pop that was coming, we immediately sold off and broke and came back, just as it's happening now. Okay. And what's important to understand here, and this is why reclaims are the main focal point of this, is that once the tape slows down and the momentum shifts, and then in this situation, the bulls take control or recapture or reclaim a level. Okay, I discussed reclaims, very important in the prior videos, so make sure you watch the prior series to this because this is a build up into that. You're going to see that once certain levels are reclaimed, in this case, it's the 555 and the 855 and the 850. Once those levels are reclaimed, and you couple that with the delta, right? What's happening between the market participants buying and selling? You have a formula of confirmation that the sellers are losing control and that there is a reversal foot. Okay, as we're seeing this, and I'm going to replay this again as I'm explaining these concepts, just to get a better grip as to what's going on here. You can see the delta's flipping here again after the selling that took place from the 50s, and the buyers are willing to push back and take control again, push price higher. But as that's happening, you're also noticing that we can make new lows. Anybody who's net short at the low end of this move is now trapped. And so a mixture of bulls bidding this up and late shorts getting trapped, you're going to see at some point price is just going to squeeze as it's doing now. You're seeing there I'm hovering here. That's my mouse. I'm hovering to bid the 55s. That was my level of interest from my pre-market plan. Pre-market plans are always shared on the Substack. Link in the description. You can see that we overtook the 55. We're not pressing above. And now the tape is shifted. Officially, you have not seen the delta increase in the sell side. Now you've only seen market buys outweighing all the selling that's coming to the tape. Not only that, but the pace of this tape, if you were to replay it over and over and over, you're going to see that we were flushing. We would pop back up, right? We were coming back up. We would stall and then flush lower. Go back up, stall, flush lower. And within the last minute, you started to see price come lower, bounce. We weren't flushing, we're just stalling. Go a little lower, come back, stall. While the delta's flipping, right? Also another indication that the rotation of the market is flipping. We're going to mean revert. And then now you're getting pushes up and we're no longer selling. Okay, we came back to 55. If you, at the beginning of the segment, 55 is where we flushed down from, right? We sold off aggressively right after losing the 5. We're way all the way down to 47s. Now, on every single move down, we're holding the 55. The bulls are defending that zone, and they're not giving up any of the levels in return. They're defending positioning. And when they're defending positioning, anybody who's net short, some juncture, they're going to have to cover. And that's when you get these big pushes up that we're experiencing right now. Just watch the tape. Watch this roll through. Feel the transactions and the way that the pace of the DOM had shifted from the beginning of the video to what's happening now. And if you rewind it time and time again, you're going to notice the rotations, the pace, the tempo of this tape, right? The transactions that are coming through, the way they're moving up, down, stall, flush, stall, pop, stall, pop, stall, pop. Those things you can't see on a traditional candlestick. You can only see it on the depth of market and the time and sales. This tool is very powerful because when you layer this on, it's like you're putting an X-ray into a candlestick chart for a price level of interest. You had a predetermined idea could work. And it gives you conviction to hold a trade, scale out of a trade, maybe a little further than you normally would have, and to be able to manage the trade a little more appropriately because you can see the shifts in the tape, in the DOM, in the movement, and then interactions between buyers and sellers as price is heading into a resistance level, long, or into a support level if you're short. So here we're slowing down here. Price is kind of at an equilibrium, right? The DOM has completely slowed down. There's little to no activity now. The way we're engaging with price. Given the magnitude of the sell, we're not seeing any more market selling. The delta is completely still outbalanced to the buy side. And we're just holding within a bull market trend, which then just gives you further validation that we're going to revert back to the open and any prices thereafter. It's just a matter of time at this point because there's no more effort to push us lower. I'll give this some time and I'm just going to watch. All right, so I took some profit there on part of the position at 862. Now, what you see here to the left is this is a level of support. If you were to go back to October 30th, you can go back to the left. 62 was a critical level of interest in which price bulls were defending the day prior and during the overnight session. Not only did we reclaim the 55 and the 50, where we initially flushed down from in the beginning of this video, we've reclaimed that critical level, and now we've reclaimed one more zone of interest, which means once we reclaim and hold a level, go back to my videos on reclaims, that means the next level up has to test, right? They're going to test all the liquidity that's trading at the next level of resistance on level higher. And the next level of interest there is going to be 68 through 69. That lines up with where at the time VWAP is sitting and also where the overnight high was. So this is what we're going to be waiting for. You can see the overnight high is listed here on my DOM. That's my next level of take profit because there is a confluence of VWAP, overnight high. So structurally, it makes sense to wait for that zone to come in to take some profit now that bulls are reclaiming levels on their way up and that the sellers are not being aggressive on the tape any longer. You can see that they're stalling and they're willing to hold price, but the bulls are not willing to give up any levels to the downside. Boom, and then you see a flurry of just market buying. Price even skips levels there on the way up. It just overtakes. The market buying has not slowed down. Now, what I will say is, in a similar fashion, when we were going down and the market selling, the delta in triple digits, What you're starting to see here is the market buying is starting to also dwindle down, right? It's starting to get to double digits. So when I start to see that kind of momentum shift as we head into these critical levels of confluence, I start to be conservative and assume, okay, we can probably stall here and pull back. That would be very natural. So with that in mind, I should probably be a little conservative with my take profit and start to recalibrate my expectations as the data on this DOM is telling me that the bulls are running out of steam for now. So with that in mind, I'm more conservative, kind of know that I need to lay off the gas with the expectations as the pace of the DOM is shifting, the movements are slowing down, the delta is becoming smaller and smaller as we approach these confluence levels. Right? And this is another component of what the DOM gives me. My expectations can be recalibrated based on the instant information and the engagement that's happening within these participants in real time. I'm getting information in the now before we get to levels of resistance that I can use to recalibrate my expectations and trade management in general. So as you'll see here, I have a limit order sitting at 69, and I'm pretty sure I move it down just to make sure that I don't miss the potential take profit because of the way they're engaging on these little pushes. So I take profit, brought it down to 68. You can see that the tape is shifting just a tad. They're getting some selling taking place, not enough to push us lower, but because of that, I understand that I should be taking profit at this zone. Then you get a nice little squeeze, continue to break higher, and at which point we hit the target zone, 69 overnight high. VWAP is also sitting here, chart that I have on another screen. And at that point, I'm already 80% out of the position. I only have 3 contracts left. I scaled out along the way. And now I'm just letting price discover how much more momentum it has, and I will scale further into that while I'm sitting on a position that has been covered and free and clear. So this is kind of the information that I use in the depth of market when it comes to entering a position, managing a position that coincides with reclaims. Again, the series of videos of reclaims that I discussed in the prior series, I'll make sure to put that in the description below. That way you can watch from the inception why price levels are important and how this ties into the depth of market. What I'm going to do now is we're going to rewind the tape on the DOM. We're going to review it once more using the same 2 concepts that I explained, the delta and the pace of the tape, to identify reversal. All right, we're going to play this back again. This is the recap. We're trading at 862. This is right at the open of the market on October 30th, 2024. And we're looking at the S&P futures. I'm playing it on a little faster speed just to kind of keep the video as condensed as possible. And again, we're going to be focusing on the 2 things again. We're focusing on the delta, right? What is the behavior between the market buys and market sells at certain price points? And what is the pace of the tape as that's happening, right? Because we can also be selling off, but the delta could be positive, right? And that explains that there's a reversal afoot as well. But nonetheless, you can see that the delta is starting to pick up here. We're getting triple digit selling here at the low end. At the very low of the day, you're getting pushes lower and lower. The delta is increasing further and further, so you're getting more triple digit sells as price is making new lows upon the open. So this tells you that there's more selling pressure at the very low of the day. Gives you some good conviction that the sell side is definitely trying to take control here off the first few minutes of the open. As that continues, just watch the behavior within the tempo of the moves up as we're trying to push away back higher, and the delta that's printing, right? The numbers that are showing up on this last column. What is the behavior with the lows and the tempo, right? So as we're pushing up, they're trying to buy it, market buy comes in, but then they sell it, make a new low, and then look at that. The delta increases further and further as we're making more lows, which means sellers are still enticed by trying to short the lows, and they're overbuying. They're still outbalancing all the selling taking place. Still see triple digits here on delta as we're going lower. It's not until you start to see that delta flip and start to kind of wean out and start to get smaller and smaller, and then you start to get market buying overtake all the selling, the shift and the reversal starts to come into play. There are more triple digit sells here as we're making new lows. The peak selling took place here at the 57. You can see that the most amount of delta we had in the sell side within the last few points on the way we moved down. Still seeing more triple digit selling. Pace of the DOM is still down. More flushing, more flushing. Right, and you're starting to see now a few more double digit prints. Not that many triple digits like we had above. So we're starting to see that the sell side is starting to wean off a little bit, slowly. It's still there, but it's slowly shifting, and you can see that the bulls are trying to push up. You watch the first few seconds of this, immediately you didn't see any attempt to push away higher. There was no effort. Now we're starting to see the first few pushes, and that's coming off of the 850 zone. More selling, triple digits showing up here right at the 850. I clear the tape just to get a fresh look. I like to clear the delta to make sure that I'm still seeing triple. When I'm interested in a zone, I like to clear the delta to see that the market selling is still triple digits. And I'm starting to see here that it's not really there anymore. So I'm clearing it as it goes away, it disappears. I'm clearing it, I'm clearing it. You're seeing double digit prints. There we go. Now we're getting smaller and smaller delta. It's no longer triple digits. The pace of the DOM is still going lower. But the transactions within those areas are getting smaller and smaller. You got more triple digit selling here, right here. And that's kind of where it weans off right there. You got more 300, 200, gets some of it got bought back, 300. But then you're starting to see triple digit buys, right? You're starting to see the buying take place. And here it comes. This is where it begins. Right off the back of that max pelling selling here, you're starting to see the shift of the tape. The delta's starting to pick up. It's only double digits, but this is the first effort, first attempt at buyers trying to reverse the tape. So it doesn't mean buy right away. It just means let's see what the buyers can do as they're trying to flip the market. They're trying to flip the momentum of the market. As they start to kind of show up here and push, I'm waiting, watching, see how much momentum do these bulls actually have. Seeing now triple digit buys, market buying here taking place at the 50, right? And then they have another attempt. Bears come in, double digits, not really triple digit selling. And then the buyers come right back in again. We didn't see any market buying on the whole move down when we were coming off the 63 at the open, right? All the way up here, none to be found of the market buying consistently back to back. This is the first zone where we actually start to see the market buying taking place. So this is of interest. This draws my interest. It gets me intrigued as to, okay, can we reclaim a level of interest that I am interested in per my pre-market plan? See more triple digit buying right at the 850, so there's definitely interest to buy above there. And there's less sellers willing to sell above 850, right? More market buying kicking in, continuously reclaiming. At this juncture, they're going to reclaim 2 levels up. So this is where I start to gain interest at the 55. See my hand hovers here to take a bid. More triple digit buying coming in. Consistent, just consistent market buying. Non-stop. Clear the tape to get a cleaner view to see if the market buying is continuous. There it is. The shift has now proven itself, right? You can see that we've had consistent buying. It has not weaned off. We've consistently showed double-digit market buying on the delta. The pace of the tape has picked up and is now pushing away from the lows, and we're no longer stalling. We're progressing. We're progressing as the price of the tape is going higher. And as the price is going higher, you're also getting bigger market buys, right? So you're seeing triple digits. You used to see them at the 50. You saw a few show up for 150, 120. Now, as we got above 855, you're starting to see a series of triple digits and double and of 200s, 170s of market buy delta showing up. This is telling you that the buyers are willing to put their step in and push and push and push and absorb all the selling that may be coming into the market, whether passively or aggressively, and they're consistently showing up on the tape. I'm going to let this roll through. Just rewatch this. This is my setup. This is what I look for reclaims, reversals off of areas of interest on the tape itself. This is what gives me conviction to enter a trade, hold a trade, and then the data in this very DOM is what tells me when to sell my position as the price of the tape starts to slow down and these momentum starts to kind of wean off. And I know that it's time to kind of scale out of the position because it's time to begin to have some price discovery and start to base sideways. I'm always looking to sell the majority of my position into the strength. And as it starts to slowly as the DOM starts to slow down and the volume starts to dry up and the market, the delta starts to shift and become more balanced, where you start to see net selling, net buying, net selling, net buying within a cluster of a level. That's where I'm looking to scale my position because I understand that exhaustion could be taking place here. I'll let this roll through just so you can review it, but just keep in mind, I am going to making a video, a follow-up of for the footprint charts for these reclaim reversals, because the footprint chart does give you data as well. The amount of net selling that took place in the last two prints, the amount of absorption that took place at the low end here was a data that I compiled as well to use for the reversal itself. So the footprint chart also gives you context as to what is occurring between the snapshot of this level at this time. What is the snapshot of the market? What are the participants doing? Who is trapped here? The footprint chart gives you a snapshot, a picture, what's happening that a candlestick can't give you a full image of, because this is an X-ray looking into each candlestick and telling you the correlation between buying and selling at a certain level that a traditional candlestick cannot give you. Make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned. New video will be coming out within the next week, going over footprint charts as well.